finally, what we all have been waiting for and calling for and questioning why it wasn't happening. Stephanie White has stepped up to the plate in defense of Caitlin Clark. I could not believe my ears, guys. I could not believe my ears when I heard this. Stephanie White actually being bold enough to stand on business and protect Caitlin Clark.
Stephanie White recently made public what almost every other WNBA player.
Everyone thinks they know the story of Caitlin Clark and the WNBA's current drama. But what actually happened is so much stranger than what you've been told. It starts with quiet commentary from an opposing coach that has ignited a firestorm, forcing everyone to confront a harsh reality. Caitlin Clark is being exploited. This isn't just about one player, it's about the entire league's leadership and the desperate measures being taken to capitalize on unprecedented success.
And it is Stephanie White talking about Caitlin Clark being brought up in a lot of these conversations in CBA by other people and not her speaking herself. And I think this is a really interesting one. And it's clear from this answer, I've already listened to this, it's very clear from this answer that Stephanie White clearly and Caitlin Clark, there's clearly a level of person, like they clearly really like each other as people.
The Indiana Fever's head coach, Stephanie White, just dropped a truth bomb that has sent shockwaves through the WNBA. In a composed yet devastating interview, she didn't yell or lash out. Instead, she stated the undeniable facts. "I hate it for Caitlin. This 23-year-old girl loves to play this game and is overshadowing so many other people's games." This single statement perfectly encapsulates the league's current predicament. Caitlin Clark's name has become the center of nearly every WNBA debate, from player pay and soaring TV numbers to media bias and officiating.
Throughout the league,
saying what it is, these people are using Caitlin Clark, they're disrespecting, and
the problem is that we just cannot.
Despite barely making any provocative statements herself, Caitlin is inexplicably at the heart of every controversy. She has become the embodiment of every issue plaguing the league, a pawn being used by all sides to advance their own agendas. It's no secret that Caitlin Clark is the most recognizable figure in women's basketball history. She's the one driving viewership, selling tickets, and commanding headlines. When someone attracts that much attention, it's easy for others to latch on, but Stephanie White believes it has gone too far.
And then Caitlin Clark kind of getting brought into that, Caitlin Clark responding to it. What has been your overall assessment of that dialogue and as it relates to your star player?
Yeah, I mean, I hate it all for Caitlin. I feel like, she's a 23-year-old kid who loves to play this game, who is a pawn in a lot of other people's games and a lot of other people's narratives, and I hate that for her. We're coming into a time in the WNBA where we're kind of part of the growing pains of becoming quote-unquote mainstream professional sport is some of this stuff.
Furthermore, throughout the entire season,
the coach is calling out everyone, players, the commissioner, and the media, for using Caitlin to push their own narratives. It's a marketing play. We see Caitlin enduring verbal abuse off the court and frequent physical assaults on it, all while maintaining her composure. But no 23-year-old should have to bear the entire burden of a league's politics. Stephanie White uses the word pawn deliberately. Caitlin is being used by the WNBA to promote tickets, by athletes to demand better contracts, and by the media for clicks. Meanwhile, fans are left watching a league seemingly more focused on drama than the actual game.
I do think that we are at a pivotal moment in terms of the league's history. And look, I was a part of the very first collective bargaining agreement of the WNBA, where we wanted insurance all year long, to now where it is growing and players do deserve more. And leadership needs to reflect where we are as a league and also understand where we are as a league and where players' perspectives are coming from. And, we have coaches on the sidelines and Becky Hammond and myself, and of course Noelle Quinn, who was in Seattle, who played in this league.
Listen, she has witnessed.
This is where it gets truly fascinating. Stephanie White isn't just defending her star player. She's speaking from decades of experience, having been in the league since its inception. She witnessed the fight for fundamental rights like year-round compensation and health insurance. She understands growing pains firsthand, recalling a time when players were just ecstatic to have a league at all. They now desire more respect, better pay, and more authority. However, the league's top brass is still lagging behind. White made it clear, the leadership needs to reflect the league's current state. In other words, they are stuck in the past. She didn't explicitly name Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, but everyone knew who she was referring to. Every dispute seems to circle back to the commissioner, who has faced criticism for her tone-deaf remarks about Caitlyn's off-court earnings and her dismissal of player concerns. White's statement about needing better leadership is the most polite way of saying, "Get your act together." And she's right. How many times has the league mishandled simple situations, leading to erratic officiating, communication failures, and nonsensical fines? It seems those in charge don't know how to handle success. The WNBA is growing, but it's because of the players, not the front office. "Your employees are your #1 asset," Stephanie White stated, and she couldn't be more correct. The players make the league, yet they often feel disrespected. Weeks ago, players physically confronted Kathy Engelbert, accusing her of poor leadership and even claiming she told Caitlin Clark to be grateful for the WNBA platform. This was a massive story. Instead of confronting it directly, Kathy offered a cliché, dejected response. Later, Sophie Cunningham explicitly called Kathy the most naive leader our league has ever encountered. Now even the always composed Stephanie White is speaking out, revealing the depth of frustration. Back to Caitlin. She has seldom commented on this, her only response to reporter questions about the drama being, "I have great respect for them." She remained impartial, escalating nothing. Yet her name has been plastered across headlines for weeks because people refuse to stop linking her to every problem. White clearly detests this, showing protectiveness over Caitlin as both a person and a player. She understands the pressure of being the league's spokesperson, a title Caitlin never requested but was handed. The league saw the ratings spike and declared her their golden ticket. Now, she's also the scapegoat when things go wrong. This is where it all went wrong. Stephanie White is essentially telling everyone, stop using Caitlin Clark as your shield. Address your issues with the CBA. Voice your frustrations with leadership, but stop turning every discussion into the Caitlin Clark debate. The unfortunate reality is that as long as Caitlin is associated with money, and money talks, this likely won't cease soon. Here's the strange twist. The more the league uses her name, the more fans begin to turn against it. People can see through the facade, recognizing when the league is merely leveraging her reputation to mask its own shortcomings. Remember when the league did nothing as officials allowed her to be tossed around earlier this season? Only when the outcry became loud did they suddenly issue player safety declarations. They don't act when it's the right thing to do. They only act when it looks bad publicly. This isn't just about officiating. It's about respect and clear communication. It's about truly listening to those who enable the league's success. Stephanie White, with her extensive WNBA experience, understands the difference between genuine leadership and empty rhetoric, unlike Kathy Engelbert, who often resorts to PR spin. Players like Collier and coaches like White are pushing back because they've seen this movie before, and it doesn't end well. The WNBA is at a turning point. Despite incredible momentum, immense attention, and stars who can truly make a difference, Stephanie White has publicly stated they are running out of patience. She quietly defended the league, stating, "All this chaos is part of growing pains." And she's entirely correct. No league achieves greatness without internal struggles. The NBA and NFL experienced it, but their leadership genuinely learned from it. Will the WNBA? Because these fissures will become full-blown fractures if they don't. The kicker is this. While everyone is fighting, the fans are becoming disinterested. All this backstage intrigue is overshadowing what happens on the court. The actual basketball is being forgotten. Stephanie White fully understands this. Her message is balanced because she's not just criticizing, she's reminding everyone of the real stakes. The WNBA's credibility depends on how it treats its brightest star, and right now it's failing miserably. Stephanie White's defense of Caitlin Clark wasn't just about one player. Her statement, "We are part of the growing pains of becoming a mainstream league," subtly critiques the entire WNBA structure while positioning her as the only adult in the room. It was a harsh reality check for players, owners, and the front office. The WNBA is currently operating more like a high school athletic department while aspiring to the NBA's notoriety and revenue. Top athletes are flying commercials, squabbling over meager pay, and facing penalties for voicing opinions. Meanwhile, the suits get all the credit when ratings rise, even though the players are doing the heavy lifting. Stephanie White knows all of this. She's seen both sides, played in the league during its dire straits, and is now coaching during its biggest growth surge. She doesn't oppose the league, she opposes nonsense. Her statement that Caitlin is being used as a pawn is the most tactful way to point out that everyone is taking advantage of her while pretending otherwise. Everyone wants to promote women's basketball because of the strange culture the WNBA has created, but not if it means acknowledging that Caitlin Clark, one player, is primarily responsible for the sport's rise. They'll gladly reference her every 5 seconds during broadcasts, use her in promos, and display her face in every advertisement. But they panic the moment she receives excessive credit. She's becoming too popular. Oh no, she's overshadowing others. Sorry, but when someone changes the game, that's what happens. It was Michael Jordan, LeBron, Serena Williams, and now Caitlyn is doing it. Behind the scenes, there are power struggles, anxiety, and jealousy. Stephanie White recognizes this and is astute enough to express it without generating resentment. Ironically, the WNBA seems unsure how to handle all this success. Finally, they have the attention they've pleaded for. Millions of new fans, sold-out arenas, and genuine excitement are all being wasted by their tone-deaf leadership and internal strife. The funniest part? Cathy Engelbert is now acting as if she founded the league. Yes, the league took off because Caitlin Clark made people care, not because the commissioner held another press conference on sustainability. And Cathy always plays the victim when someone points this out. Oh, I am discouraged. You're not the principal of a middle school, lady. You're the manager of a professional league. Stephanie White is referring to this type of disingenuous leadership. Hiding behind scheduled meetings and press releases is not leadership. Being a leader means defending your players from abuse on the court or from being disparaged online. That's what White has done. Engelbert has not. It's also amusing because Cathy's supporters frequently claim she's an entrepreneur. But being a businesswoman doesn't give you the freedom to disregard the basketball aspect of your work. Players like Sophie Cunningham and Kier, as well as coaches like Becky Hammond, are genuinely irritated because they feel everything has suddenly become dominated by the business aspect. They witness decisions being made that might make financial sense, but have no basketball sense whatsoever. It has clearly reached a boiling point. They are all snapping, but in different ways. Kier spoke as if she were running for public office. Sophie Cunningham went all out. Stephanie White, because she is correct, simply detonated a truth bomb that was more devastating than the two of them combined. Everyone is using Caitlin Clark. Let's dissect it immediately. She is used by the league to display sponsors. They are expanding. Thus her name is used by the media for clicks. She is used by the players as negotiating leverage. Every time something goes wrong, the fans use her as an excuse to criticize the WNBA. Caitlin, meanwhile, just wants to hoop. Stephanie was the best at it. All she wants to do at the age of 23 is play her favorite game. However, the politics surrounding her have spiraled out of control. Every action she takes makes headlines. Each expression is scrutinized. She's acting phony if she smiles. She's conceited if she doesn't. Favoritism will be the reason if she prevails. She is overrated, which will be the reason she loses. Something simply must yield at some point. Here, Stephanie White did more than just stand up for Caitlin Clark. She defended the WNBA's entire future. Because if the league continues to treat its brightest star like a pawn, rather than a human being, more than just Caitlin will leave. The fans will leave too. What do you think? Is Stephanie correct regarding the leadership of the WNBA?